Thankfully, I got the day off tomorrow and then back on the show Sunday, so we got a little bit of time to let the voices reset, but I'm right there with you, man. I am fried, and looks like we're already into the Champions Select. Olaf banned away. That is Zier not making it through draft this time around either. Brunsey, he's back on Kai'Sa, man. How did they keep letting him get this? I don't understand. Jasama's going to get that Sejuani as well.
Yeah, I believe it's an identical draft to Game 2 so far, even down to the bans. There might be one different in BKS, but it's very similar. Mid-focus, those 3 power picks, the Tristana, LeBlanc, Azir, all denied BKS, focusing.
They're running it back.
The Rel, getting the Grefthar, Nico back on there as well. So we could see, and as RMC said, right, he thought their draft was good. He liked what they had put together for themselves. They just couldn't execute properly on it in the end.
Didn't look so good once those Void Seekers starting to connect in the late game, I will say that. But up till that point, yes, the K-Stars looking very big. This is the first divergence from last draft. Tay was on Renekton, now it'll be Gigo.
Yeah, and we saw that Tay was willing to blind pick that one to potentially have denial away from Gigo and to use it himself. Tay, as Rudy said, has been pretty serviceable so far today, even on that Bruiser archetype. We'll see if he wants to match him Bruiser for Bruiser or maybe take a step back onto those tanks, as Jojo looking to potentially lock in a 3rd Nautilus game in a row for this series. So last time, Fluxo put together a poke comp. Will they be allowed to do the same? Do they even want to do the same thing again? Or might we see a pivot to them more onto the teamfight side, right? Something that can go real up and square up with VKS in the 5 versus 5.
Oh boy, do I ever love a pivot. I would love the blind Gwent here for Tay too. What an answer that would be. However, I believe it's the Rumble that's in his champ pool that would be the answer back here, but we'll have to see. I just please no K'Sante. Let's keep it to the carries
No
who had
bro.
so much fun up to this point, and there's no stopping us now. They'll ban 80 carries, banning the Sivir.
Like, if it's gonna be tanks, give me Sion, give me Malphite, right? Don't give me the K'Sante. I know I'm not interested in the K'Sante. I'm done with it. I'm bored of it. Let's see if there is back to those tanks potentially in the top lane, or something with a bit more of a 1v1 potential, as the Jax and the Jace are denied by BKS. So they won't have that premium poke comp piece in the mid lane, even though it must be said, House had another fairly quiet game on that Jace. He was not a big part of that second win.
And for goodness sake, no Ahri either. Yes, however the Quinn. Yeah, this will be fun. Quinn into Renekton, very dangerous matchup for the Renekton. But no, they'll go back to the Gnar here, and Tay will pick up the Gnar for the first time in this particular series. Now the Kalista hovered. I think if you play Kalista and just dump Rel in, like we keep Rel down in the support position, that could be really powerful for the K-Stars, but we'll have to see where they end up here. Remember that Rel is flexible between jungle and support.
So it could be, for sure, but I'm glad that they've pivoted away from the Kalista. Kalista is just not a Trigo pick, in my opinion, man. I've been watching this guy for several splits, and Kalista is not the pick for him. Now, the Zeri, with a bit of late-game scaling, Trigo can sit back, play defensively if he wants, has his own self-sufficient get-out-of-jail-free tools. This could be much better for him. I like this pivot that VKS have gone down here, and it's something that can match Brunsey in the late game, really beat for beat. That Zeri, Brunsey's carried plenty of games on the Zeri himself, right? As the Lilia locked in for Grell at the end, and Baxman, I've been waiting for this one all split.
Oh yeah, finally some damage from Grell. He's been put on tanks the whole series long, while the Sejuani looked good and the Rel didn't look too bad either. Now we get to see the Mad Mexican with a little bit of damage pumped in. I gotta stop growling like that.
Your throat's gonna shred, bro. It's gonna be tissue paper.
Our vocal consultant is screaming at the screen right now. We get the Cinder locked in as well for some single target damage directed at this Zeri. By the way, the Zeri pick into Brunsey, this is a declaration of war.
Yeah, it's fine, man. Take a huff of that copium, that saline solution, alright? Get it in there. Keep your throat alive. Keep those vocal cords all juiced up, because we've got plenty of action to go through, because the team fights potentially coming our way in this Game 3 Axon with the comps that have been drafted could be insane. You've got a wonderful front-to-back teamfight comp from Fluxo with the Kai'Sa, Syndra carries, then loads of frontline engage and CC, similar to what BKS had last time. And VKS has just a bunch of stuff going on. They've got the Grell, I'm calling it the Grell now, the Rel Nico for that combo, that CC chain as well. They've got the Renekton running interference, Lilia just doing Lilia things, running every which way. This could get very confusing for Fluxo to try and deal with.
And this is the issue for K-Stars too, right? They had a great opening gambit, really put a black eye on Fluxo. The issue was, as soon as they let that hit connect, the haymaker came straight up into the chin from Fluxo, and now you're trying to get back on your feet, right? You're not, your back's not against the wall yet. You still got this one game to throw stuff at the wall, and that is exactly what they try to do here. The Lilia coming out, the Zeri coming out, trying to see if maybe they can catch Fluxo off guard, catch them slipping again, and land another punch.
Absolutely. That early game has been so strong for VKS so far in this series, and Fluxo, if you go down to clutch, right, if you go to the late game team fight, I said this in the green room before, I would favor Fluxo 9 times out of 10 if it comes down to a last-ditch 5 versus 5. And in that last game, we saw them reach critical mass on front site and they were able to clutch it out. Here, they have a wonderful teamfight composition that can go late and can scale up really, really well. So I think VKS, if this is going to work for them, we need another good early game, we need another good mid game, and potentially closing the game out around that 30-minute mark like they did in game 1.
You must close this out. You cannot take 2 Barons and not close out the game. You gotta put Fluxo in the dirt if you want to win this series, just like you did in game 1. VKS try to recreate the magic. Can they do it? The closest split series we've seen all split all year long, and it's back in game 3.
It's only 2 games in as Gigo gets a nice early lead in the top side. Tay is going to pull the recall and will be able to top himself back up. But we saw what Tay did to Gigo in the reverse of that matchup. The Renekton was all over the Gnar to begin with, and it was the jungle influence that kept that one swaying in different directions. So we'll see if maybe the junglers want to dedicate even more time around top lane. They've been really focusing on that lane in this series, or if they want to try and look elsewhere. The bot lane has gone almost entirely ignored, you know, throughout the series. We thought that it would be super important for both of them, but the supports have been leaving there from minute 3, and the junglers haven't really been looking down there at all.
Makes you wonder what this split looks like if both these teams play this way, the way we've seen them play in these past 2 games, all split long. I think these 2 teams are at the top of the table. We haven't seen teams perform like this in this split yet. It's just cards on the table, absolute destruction at every single stage. They're trying things, they're playing new things. I love best of 5s and playoffs in this league.
Absolutely, there's just content all the way from start to finish. Such crazy action as already bot lane is getting stuck in with the 2 versus 2. The Kai'Sa passive again not quite procced on damage. It's a slight lead for Fluxo in that trade. And of course Zeri surprisingly strong in the early stage, not as weak as I think she's meant to be. As level 2 advantage is there for BKS, but matched by Bruncie and Jojo. Damage flashing away. Jojo goes for the hook on 1 HP. The madman doesn't connect, and maybe that's for the best.
You gotta be careful here for Jojo. Way too low a health bars to try to make the play. Rel will shut you out of this game with the engage, but the pots are ticking. And Bruncie and Trigo are healing back up. Will this be the fight, or will Jojo equalize? Will he stand the test of time?
We'll hope that they give us a little moment of quiet, Axeman. We've got Sofchan standing by with the Fluxo coach to give us some insight.
Yes, indeed. We're here with On Meta, of course, our coach for Fluxo. Happy to have you here. I want to talk about the Kai'Sa pick once again because, of course, it takes a little bit longer to scale. But once you get that AP burst, Bronze was just knocking everyone out of the park. Are you guys going to go for a AP Kai'Sa build once again?
Yeah, I think we go for AP Kai'Sa again, but in that game, like the past game, it wasn't just Kai'Sa. We had like Kai'Sa Jace. It has a
so
good,
much poke.
Yeah, a lot of poke, a lot of range, and they didn't have the abilities to get until us. So it was a pretty good draft for us.
Definitely, and I think, of course, yeah, and I think the Syndra is a great addition as well because it allows for the Kai'Sa to grow while you still have some leeway to have some space because of the CC she can provide. So thank you so much, On Meta, for being here. We're going to throw it back to Summoner's Wraith.
Bye.
Thank you, Sofchan. We got the insight from the coach back there. And let's talk about this House Syndra, right? We haven't really touched on it much, but House has had a completely silent series, right? 2 games where we've seen basically nothing out of him. Now he's gone back to that control mage, that burst mage style that he made his name for, in my eyes, in this tier 1, the Victors and the Syndras of the past. As Gigo is getting a bit frosty up in this top side, Tay trying to stop the proxying of the wave, and Renekton could just do what he likes.
Yeah, we tasted some bad moyos from top laners in the league this split, but this is the good moyo that Gigo brings to the table. That good sauce. Jasamis is up here trying to put a stop to it, but there is no stopping the Croc. He's proxying waves, man. I mean, I can't say enough. Can't say enough here. Yeah, the single target damage coming out of the Syndra will be really important for Fluxo looking at the mid game and the back half of this game. It was such an issue for them to try to get the damage where it needed to be until the damage was so overpowering that even hitting the front line for Brunsey was worth it. This time they won't have that problem. House just has to walk up to Trigo and absolutely delete him. It's not a matter of front line, back line. It's a matter of physical distance from the Syndra.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the Featherstorm this time, right? He can't go untargetable, can't get a cheater get out of jail free card there. He's just going to have to take it if he's in range, and House can do that to Grefthar, he can do that to Trigo, he can do that to Grell as well. You know, it's going to be likely some bruise or some HP element on the Lilia, but it's not going to stand up to a late game Syndra. So perhaps this is an avenue for House to show us a little bit more, be that second primary carry that Fluxo have been able to rely on early on in this split.
You know, Trajan went into this series with a big cup of coffee, and I have not touched it, man. Didn't need it. Didn't need it whatsoever, right? It has been a storm we have been weathering these last few hours of this series. Non-stop action, back and forth. Haven't even had time to look away from the screen once. This is so incredible from two teams that had rocky splits, right? Not good up and down, but here they've pulled out all the stops for us.
Yeah, it's been a rocky series for both sides, right? 1-on-1 right now. Plenty of plays on a varying scale of success, right? And judgment calls. We've had not the cleanest of series so far, but by God, it has been exciting. Don't do caffeine, kids. Just watch the CBLOL. That'll keep you awake. That's all you need. As Fluxo are going to head onto this Ocean Dragon. They're going to pick that one up uncontested and give them that nice regen boost for the laning phase.
Beautiful stuff for him there. Jasamis solos up another one, kinda. We'll call it a solo there. For the Dragon statistics, he's got the objectives on lock. That first game, just a statistical anomaly. He's got the rest of them for this series. We'll have to see if it's a Sejuani diff or Jasamis diff. Grell looking to make the difference,
Threat with Grefthar as well onto House. If you get tagged by a bowling ball, by a swirling seed, the follow-up is huge from the Nico, but House will manage to position his way around. It will sidestep that potential aggression as Fluxo do manage to get their mid laner out. We'll see if Grell can continue that full Herald control, right? Fluxo have dedicated more time onto bot side here. They got that dragon off the prior. This is a fight in bot lane. Trigo's got the ultimate. There's an advantage forcing the killer instinct from Brunsey. Can the Kai'Sa fire anything back? I think they just want to step away. Jasamis is there. The fight's gone on too long. BKS stayed around for too much, and it's first blood for the Fluxo jungle.
And you already see some of the damage starting to come out of Trigo a little bit. That ultimate hit super hard from the Zeri. And of course the Q's coming out steadily as well. But it's just too much distance between damage and Trigo. Not enough control of the triangles with it. I said triangles. Hey, we'll stick with it between those two bot laners. And damage will go down. But yeah, you see that damage coming out. You see how Trigo could definitely carry this game on this champion.
Yeah, for sure. He's still threatening to Tay. It's a much more low-key Gnar than Gigo's. Let's be clear about that one. 20 CS is the deficit. It will be cut into a little bit. We see BKS trying to continue that Herald control with the prior that Gigo has on the top side. With the easy wave clear and rotations from Grefthar, they should be set up for success on top.
And there's not very much focus on the top side of the map from Jasamis, right? Tries to set up a little vision, but there's no big push up here. There's no big ganks up top side onto Tay. This is a thoroughly weak side Tay, a position we've seen him in several games this split. It's all about the bottom side for Jasamis. It's all about that base, and we'll see Brunsey profit from that unequivocally.
Absolutely. This is a lot more like mid-split. Oh, hang on a second. House had to flash away from the CC chain there. Damage with another great roam. Grell drops the Swirl Seed. Won't connect it. Grefthar still with an ultimate to follow up, but Fluxo's ready to protect their mid laner once again. I was going to say, this is a lot more like mid-split Fluxo, right? They've got these scaling carries in mid and bot. Tay is fully weak-sided, graciously losing a top lane matchup that he's not designed to win. And then Fluxo are going to look for those mid-game and late-game fights to really hand-check BKS, which they did start to do a little bit at the end of game 2.
We're into the stage of the game where JoJo goes on his nature walk, but he's back in one of his rare moments. Now the 2v2 begins anew.
House
House
without
may
a
be in
flash
danger,
right now,
yeah.
still in the mid lane. Grell has flash to go in. Flash Q, but House just about out of range. I thought that could have been it. But Syndra still survives. House had so much pressure on him from Grell, from damage, and he's still 15 CS up.
Yeah, he's still up on the Syndra, really putting in work on this control mage that we had not expected going into this one. Champ pool a little bit bigger than we thought it was. All those Azir bans forcing him back into a place where apparently he's very comfortable. Now Guigo continues to push Tay in, but Jasam is here to help for the first time. Rift Herald's out.
They already lost the Mega Nargigo, still with the Dominus. No real kill threat. They just want to keep this lane alive as the Samus gets aggressive onto the Lilia. Does have the Glacial Prison, but for now, they will just keep the turret alive, and it's more gold injected into the Cade Stars top side. It is going to be a massive Renekton threat in that mid game, right? And Syndra, not the most mobile of champions, right? Pretty vulnerable if Renekton gets on top of her.
No, not at all, and it is difficult to one-shot that Renekton as well with the ultimate, with the full combo. You're looking for a later game. You're looking for squishier targets if you're House, and you're not finding them from Guigo, that's to be sure. But it's the lane swap coming out. Brunsey pulling it out early, just past the 10-minute mark. He's in the mid lane.
Popping up top as well, looking to clear out some wards. I imagine they'll be looking for this dragon. Fluxo, with that control of the side of the map, want to get these dragons stacking up. They've got an Ocean, they've got a Chemtech. They'd love to see a Hextech or an Infernal coming through here. Potentially even a Mountain to give them some burst shield against things like the Rel Nico. As Tay still trying to get what poke he can, using the range advantage that Nar has. But it's such a thin margin that Nar has to play on here.
Oh, yeah, razor thin margins, but
job.
not as thin anymore.
Yeah.
Kiko really taken down there.
Oh, they're onto Grail. They've got that aggressive move with the vision advantage. Brunsey goes in deep to try and get this kill. If he can complete it before he falls asleep, doesn't quite complete it. Someone needs to kill Lilia, but now Brunsey's left in the lurch. It's a disaster for Fluxo. A massacre on the bot side red buff.
Cade Stars! What was that? Oh my goodness, Brunsey went so deep, but Grethar is there to back up the team. Double kill for the Nico now, finally finding that value they were looking for out of this pick all series long. They get it in spades. I'm speechless. What just happened?
So much, I guess, just confidence in Fluxo to try and knock Grell out of it to secure that dragon with no smite. And Brunsey, to be fair to him, was about 5 damage off killing the Lilia. But you have to imagine, even if Lilia dies there, what's the escape plan, guys? This is the replay.
Here's a replay. It's like 3 ults they dump into Grell here. And Grell does not die. KT Rain not going to deal any damage, and Grell will make it out. Brunsey has to go to sleep. He's controlled effectively by Rel. And now it's the Nico ultimate. Look at this damage in the red buff pit. There is no escape for you, and all of that AoE damage from the Nico will connect 100% there. And I just, once again, what is this from VKS? This is a completely different team.
That's that team play that when they're on, they can pull these quick rotations in as Gigo now facing a 3 versus 1. He has the flash. House ult dropped early to get him low. The Dominus being held for now. Ooh. Massive Q for the heal with a Gore Drinker, and Grell is there to protect him. Fluxo have been trying to kill Gigo all series long. Oh, they just can't do it.
How does he keep getting away with this, right? And you know he had to wait for his perfect moment. He bides his time and makes it out with Slice, Dice, Flash. Big Q healing him up there, too, perfectly.
Looking from Jojo, forces defensive crash down from damage. And Fluxo again trying to make plays, but having a pretty low success rate on them, honestly. VKS, they don't do as much in the early game, but when they make things happen, they generally work out. And that gold lead is materialized for them again. 1.5K as we approach the 14-minute mark.
You can hear the roar of the crowd in Sao Paulo, all the way out here where I am in Salt Lake City, Utah. I don't know if you can hear them there in Scotland, Trajan. Holy cow, I thought it was coming through the headphones. It's just coming through the air at this point. The energy is electric, and it is feeding the players now. Non-stop fights back to back.
BKS with this lead that they have now with the Lilia, with the Renekton flanks, with the Nico as well, they could look to push this lead a lot harder in the mid game. They don't have that range deficit in as much of a situation as they had last time. Plus they have scaling, so I really want to see how BKS choose to play with this lead, because they cannot let Fluxo break back into it, as you said before. If we go late, Fluxo are terrors to try and deal with. Fluxo need to go late if they can find that success there. Whereas VKS, they'd love to sew it up before 30.
And that's not theoretical either, right? We've already seen what Brunsey can do, and he's building the exact same items, working on that second item, that 4-item Exodia that he worked on last game. Once he gets to that point, it is not a winnable game for the Cade Stars. They will be an absolute nightmare scenario if they get to that point, and their backs will be against the wall. You can't let Brunsey get there. You have to make proactive plays. You have to fight now, and Trajan, you have to win.
They don't even have a real front line in this game. They don't have the Brom. They don't have the Gnar. It's Bruisers and a Rel support is the only people who can hope to try and take these Ws if Brunsey gets to that late game. But BKS, once again, on the top side. The advantage is big for them there through mid lane as well after that bot side play. And they're looking for the Herald. Gigo's on the flank. How's in top lane, kind of far away. Fluxo looks like they want to contest, but they ain't got anywhere near the positioning to make it work.
There's just no way in, unfortunately, for them. Jasame's not going to be able to pick this one up. BKS continues stacking up the objectives. They've been so dominant this game, in a game that's otherwise been back and forth around the neutral objectives. They'll continue to stack those Rift Heralds, even as the plating has fallen.
Still holding on to this mid lane, just trying to hold on to those all-important towers to stop BKS getting too much run of the map. Keep that gold lead in check, reach the mid and late game with somewhere approaching the same amount of power in your inventories. And they can look for those all-important fights, but BKS playing it out fairly controlled right now. They had a massive punish onto Fluxo on the bot side, but besides that, they've been looking for plays, but they've not been overreaching.
We talked about the lack of front line from the Cade Stars. We talked about Brunsey. We talked about the win condition for Fluxo, but the win condition for Cade Stars, it is Trigo. It has to come from this Zeri. The damage has to come through from a champion we haven't seen too much of this split. And Trigo picked it very confidently into the Zeri King. Brunsey, there has to have been a reason, Trajan. There has to be something Trigo is holding back.
He has had one Zeri game so far this split. He did win that game, didn't die in it either. You know he's got a Zeri in there somewhere, and he's going to have to pull out a mad one to match Brunsey, who is very much firing in all cylinders right now. But the lanes have settled down and gone fairly even. Fluxo again, really trying to protect this mid lane, just want to get the items on these carries. How's searching for that mythic still. And Brunsey heading towards that Nashor's, dragging up very soon, but Fluxo aren't quite in a position inventory-wise that they want to be in, I think.
No matter what these fights look like, Trajan, they'll have to be pentakill-shaped performances from either AD carry. Multi-kills have been the biggest thing in the game in the CBLOL for the last few weeks, and this game will be no different. Triples, quadras, pentas, you name it, we've got it. And both Brunsey and Trigo are looking for those multi-kills as they push forward into these sides. Rift Herald marches down the mid lane now. There'll be no dive onto Brunsey. They will pick up a little bit of damage.
TP from Gigo there. House is rotated over Tay.
There will be a little dive, maybe.
This mid lane turret is going to stand strong for the time being. It's pretty low. BKS now working on it. They're going to find it. Grell goes in. 3 people caught up in the sleep. Only Desamus takes damage on the backside, and now Tay's Mega. He's TPing in, looking for a play onto the backline. Grell holding the front line, but gets burned out by Brunsey as House is holding Gigo at arm's length. Fluxo with a chance to re-engage, with a chance to find more. Tay doesn't find the Mega Gnar, barely squeaks past on Grell. And it's just the tower for the kill in the end, but BKS, they've got control of the river. They can look for the dragon.
They will look for it now. Their second dragon of the game. It'll go down quick and uncontested. Fluxo flicking the runes back in the fountain, trying to find a way back into this game. This is perhaps the largest gold deficit at 19 minutes there has been so far in this series, which has otherwise been incredibly close, right? So finally, BKS building up something here in the mid game. Now it's on Fluxo to try to make the comeback. They did it last game. They're behind a little bit of gold, but they weren't behind this far.
No, they are still chasing BKS down as Tay barely escapes. Revthar, Gigo, and Grell, the 3G top side, trying to make a play on him, but he will get away from it. Interesting to see that Grell has gone for the Rod of Ages here on the Lilia, not for the Liandries we normally see to just make that poke and the Swirl Seeds hurt even more. He's actually gone for something which is going to give him a bit more sustain in the fights by spamming spells, a bit more HP to work with. As Gigo, Mega Gnar backwards, Jojo around the corner to root him up. The Dominus is there, Desamus too, Brunsey's flying in, and the BKS top laner goes down again, and the bot lane tower's going to follow.
It took 4, but that's another kill for Brunsey. This time, maybe the first time, coming out of Gigo, who did not escape this time. And a little bit more gold in the hands of Kaiser doesn't hurt Fluxo whatsoever. Should be able to reset and pick up that Gnasher's Tooth. The second item in the 4-item Exodia set for him. The next one is Luden's. It's a big purchase, but he may be caught out.
Trigo's going in, maybe didn't expect Brunsey to be there, but still happy with the 2 versus 2 as Damage gets the ult, but doesn't find too much more of it. Grell and Desamis shoulder checking each other down the river, both trying to get there as fast as possible, but a TP coming in from Gigo. This is about to go very horribly for Fluxo as Brunsey shoved into the alcove and knocked over by the Zeri. House is rotating, but it's long after the play has ended.
This is everything. He changes everything, Trajan, for Trigo. A little bit of shutdown gold and a little much needed kill gold onto this Zeri. Now, just like that, Zeri's back in the game, looking to pick up a second item of her own. And will come back on the rift that much stronger. Game's very tight. Fluxo fall even further behind.
It's so tight, Axeman. These fights all through this series have been on a knife edge. It's so down to individual outplay and mechanics and finding those windows of opportunity. VKS, though, baiting Fluxo in with that teleport, and they get valuable gold onto their AD carry. Nico as well, still accelerated from those early doubles in the bot side. VKS playing with their lead fairly well. Fluxo trying to hold on to some control over the map. Desperately getting those items on deck so they can start contesting.
Looking to see House's damage onto Trigo. We haven't seen those two interact yet in one of these big 5v5 team fights. This could be the way Fluxo gets back in the game, is shutting out Trigo at the top of it with a big Cinder ult. We have not seen that yet, but it is in the cards. Fluxo do have to play for this if they want to win. This fight, House, bot side, has teleport, but he's got to get in on time.
Going back now to buy some items. We'll see how impactful it is coming through. Syndra, of course, going into the Blighting Gem. He's working on that voice after Samus, though. A little bit caught on his own here. House is there with the Scat of the Week if needed, and Fluxo will get away. But this Syndra, it needs time to marinate, right? You've got to stack up those Splinters of Wrath to get those extra abilities to really unlock your abilities like Kai'Sa does in a similar way. And the carries just aren't quite there yet. They're getting there, but they're not really able to stand up as they will later.
Little waiting game now for House. They tried to build up the damage. Gigo
there with the flash. Brunsey has to drop the ultimate with a flash before Gigo locks him down, forces the cleanse. Ult goes onto the Renekton, but Brunsey has been eliminated. He's been sectioned away. Massive engage from the rail. Damage finds 3 in a Magnet Storm. And Fluxo start to drop one by one. That's the fight you needed, Cade Stars. The Baron is open.
Cade starts trading blow for blow with Fluxo back and forth in these games and in these fights. Now they're up 4,000 gold. What will Fluxo do to answer back? Is there any way Brunsey makes it deep enough into this game, gets those 4-item spikes to be able to turn this one around? It's so difficult now, Trajan. VKS maybe take game 3.
They managed to survive last time through multiple Cade Stars Barons. As we can see, Brunsey way too far up in this mid lane.
Yeah, he's way too far up. You see Gigo is totally aware of it the entire time, pops Dominus early, and is able to track Brunsey down. After that, it's child's play for the rest of Fluxo. Holy cow. Just shredding through them, the Nico damage alone, but also this AoE from Trigo. Incredible stuff.
He's hit that second item mark, heading quickly towards a third. Deathless still on this champion in this split. And is starting to hit that critical mass, as we know that Brunsey is trying to get to as well. He does have to be in a shorter range to do it, but when the setup is that good from damage, from Rel, from Grell, it's so good. It's so easy for him to just pick them apart. And now VKS with the Baron. They've got to keep this lead pushing, right? Keep Fluxo behind, keep them inside their base. Don't let them pick up the gold on the map.
Exactly, Trajan. This is where the game broke down for them last time. They didn't put Fluxo in the ground. They didn't close things out with these Baron power plays. This time, you gotta convert, right? Or my belief starts to break apart. Fluxo, if they're the only ones who can win a game, well, you're the only ones who can win the series. Tay trying to push you on the side, get a little bit of mileage back, but the turrets are going down. VKS are pushing through with this Baron power play.
One turret picked up by Cade Stars right now. They're going to find another one in mid. One traded back for Tay. He's pulling the recall now. The Dragon is live as well. It is the Cloud Rift here. so no big damage boost to be picked up, but extra mobility, extra utility in these fights. Grell loves it, Trigo loves it, Gigo loves it. VKS got a lot of value out of movement speed.
You know, I love it too, Trajan. Dragon going down. Yeah, imagine they get Cloud Soul. That's going to be real tough for Fluxo to contend with. Lily with Cloud Soul is one of the most terrifying champions in League of Legends, and I mean, that's not even the biggest issue on Fluxo's plate right now. Trigo's starting to deal big damage in these team fights, and of course the Nico, an ever-looming threat as well, has so much damage built into the kit and also into the items. Look at some of these items so far. This isn't your survival Ahri. This is full damage, full assassin Nico.
With the Shadow Flame 2 items done, Trigo picking up that shield bow, gives him that burst shield, that lifeline against things like the Syndra ultimate. It might come down to Fluxo instead having to try and burn through the front line before VKS can do the same, and VKS have so much damage, man. Everyone in their team's doing damage. It's tough to match that one as the game goes later. Fluxo trying to get some vision down, but it's a full VKS lockdown on that topside jungle.
There's no way in for Fluxo, even if they wanted to get in there, and you have to imagine they do. But it is certain death to walk in. You got some squishy champions too. I mean, who's gonna weather that storm walking in? House dumps damage into damage.
Under the tower, they do get the sleep, but no one goes down. It's good for Fluxo to get away alive there, as Tay wasn't even present. And a lot of damage palmed back onto Cade Stars. They've got to think twice about pulling another move like that, as the Gnar wasn't even a factor. Damage maybe thinking he can catch him on his own. The ult is still available, and Fluxo hold the line for now.
Brunsey starting to deal the first ghosts, echoes really, of damage with those chained together Void Seekers. We'll see those get bigger.
And with the ultimate doesn't catch Brunson, but gets the front line. Again, they're still under tower. Follow up from damage, but House is there to follow it. Brunsey and Jojo fall as Gigo's caught on the side. Fluxo, it's playable, it's possible. There's low HP, but double stun gets the cleanse out of Trigo. House with the clutch E, and Tay finishes one off. As Fluxo push them back again, it's messy, it's bloody, as this whole series has been, Axeman, but it is anything but clear.
My goodness, Trajan, it's not clear even at the 5K discrepancy between these two teams in the gold. I mean, it's anybody's game at this point. And I mean, maybe the least close game so far in the series. Tay, he's on the wrong side of the map.
He really is. This is not your team, Tay. You're on the red side, buddy, and he goes down in a side lane. Luckily, it's too long before the Baron for it to matter. It could have been a lot worse if he'd taken a lot longer to die.
Absolutely nowhere is safe on Summoner's Rift, Trajan, especially not for top laners in the side lane. Tay gets taken down, and Gnar, I don't know, maybe it doesn't look like that good of a pick all of a sudden. If it drops the L this time, I think it's got to be banned from both sides moving forward. We need a new top lane roster, and Gnar just isn't cutting the mustard.
Yeah, it's just not having that consistently later on, right? It's been both teams have shown that they can pick it off in the side lane, they can punish it, and it really doesn't have that much innate tankiness of some of its compatriots up there, especially in mini form. As Cade Stars once again go back to taking full vision control of the top side, they still want to work on this top lane tower.
They're going to work on it for the time being. Jasamis and Jojo both going to look for an opening. Gigo on the side, he's got teleport though.
We have got the Ludens completed for Brunsey as well. Those Void Seekers are going to start to sting. We have House working on what looks like either a Shadow Flame or Rabadance with the Needless in inventory. These carries for Fluxo, Axeman, they're starting to get there, and they're holding on to their inhibitor towers.
That's the problem with the 3-item Kais as you look across the pond at the Trigo, and it's a 4-item Zeri. That's not good for Fluxo. Zeri, it's huge. I mean, the AoE damage is wild. The Qs coming out are going to be big there too. Very difficult for them to contend with. Also, the angles of attack for Zeri are almost unlimited. Now it's another Baron power play for VKS. Fluxo have to do something, Trajan.
Oh, they've caught the front and they've caught damage, completely separated VKS. They're not sure what they want to do, but Brunsey's down! Gigo, unbelievable with the man disadvantage, takes away the most critical member of Fluxo, and the VKS Baron is still on.
We had some questions when the Cade Stars were running this draft back. All those questions are answered now.
You find it. Giga on the Renekton has been massive this game. Grevthar on the flank could be devastating on the Nico as the Baron's down to half HP. Looks for the front line, only gets onto Gnar. But remember how fast he goes down. Tay gets a stun, tries to crunch to safety and will waste a lot of time as Gigo gets popped into the Sterax. This Gnar, he's been eliminated, he's been found. Gigo trying to do the same on the other side. Gets onto House and Fluxo have abandoned their mid laner. Scatter the weakest there. Flash, stun, Q, diamond. Gigo gets another. The Samus on full retreat and Jojo just hoping no one saw where he went as Fluxo crumble in the top side jungle and the fights they're getting closer, Axeman, but Kadestar still in control.
Certainly that has to be the end for Fluxo. Now VKS taking a second Baron power play. There is no room to contest. Jasamis maybe with a steal, but it's hard. Trajan, it's hard.
Brunsey's alive again, Jojo's in and Jojo's down. K-Stars will happily receive a free Nautilus in the mail as Gigo still has the Dominus running. He found Brunsey last time. He'd love to find him again as the Samus just cannot find a way into the river, fight after fight. And the K-Stars surely have locked up another Baron in this game.
Just incredible play from VKS. Already said it this series, but what team is this? I haven't seen this VKS. They weren't in split 2 of CBLOL. This is a different team. Entirely new faces. I can't believe we're seeing them play like this.
It is massive from VKS. They've had their stumbles, yes, even in this game. But overall, their team play has been strong. Gigo on the top side has been absolutely magnificent for them from game 1. Avoiding all the ganks from Fluxo, finding the solo kills, eliminating the carries in fights. He's doing so much work as damage drops so low. Jasamis tries to retreat, but the Kadestars are hunting for him. Dominus is there and damage will fall in the end, but it's traded for the jungler. Brunsey again, caught up by Gigo. This Croc just always finds his man. Kadestars diving deep past the towers. They see the game 3 win in front of their eyes and they're reaching out to take it.
My goodness, if there's a story here at all, Trajan, it's from hero to zero for Brunsey. Man, oh man, how do you go from the highest damage record to the lowest in one game? VKS somehow downloaded this team comp, have fixed everything that they had going wrong, learned their lesson and brought it back with a force. The gold lead is over 10k. They have the Dragon Soul, Trajan. Surely this is the end. VKS take game 3.
They should be able to walk it in from here, right? Their lead is so massive. If this game goes another 10 minutes and Fluxo start to get even more of their items, we could see it start to turn, but Kadestars have full control of the map right now, Axeman. And within 5 minutes, the Elder's going to be up, and that could be all VKS need to seal the deal.
And just halfway to that 4th item, it will not be the death cap. Brunsey realizes, hey, I got maybe one more shot at this. Just give me anything I can afford, and maybe, just maybe, I could turn this thing around. This will be the last attempt for Fluxo, though. It's got to go perfectly, and honestly, Trajan, at this point, it might take a miracle.
Yeah, a lot of force of nature, a lot of merc treads across from him. I think he wants to look for that Void Staff instead as Kadestars starting to crack the base. Trigo in run lane, walks back to the rest of it. It's not Trigo, it's Grevthar when Trigo skinny tricked me, bro. As we do have Tay returning back, another inhibitor falls as the map continues to become harder and harder to play for the Fluxo side. 1 lane remaining, Elder in 4 minutes. It's looking dire, it's looking like a game 4.
Really is looking dire, but Elder is a way back in the game for Fluxo if they can somehow take the objective down, but they're going to be stuck in their base for the objective. Very, very difficult game now for Fluxo. This is nigh on unwinnable.
I'll tell you one thing, Axe. This Giga Renekton cannot be allowed to happen again, man. You
Seriously.
cannot let this happen as Fluxo. This is insane. The Tay Renekton was good, but the Giga one is insane.
I'm fully in favor of trying our best to ban out Gigo because I think there is a point where eventually we throw so many bans at Gigo, he says, all right, fine, I'll just pick Nefiri. Let's just see it.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do with the top lane.
Yeah.
All right, cool, I'll do it. You banned 5 top laners, now you get Nefiri.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys something. I've played with 1 top Nefiri in my solo queue so far. I got 25 kills and 1 death. I think Gigo could do something similar with the way he is playing today. He's a man on a mission, and right now he's a man with a flag right onto Disamus as the Lilia ult threatens them, pushes Fluxo back into the base. The last inhib is dropping.
This has to be it. Grell looking for an opening. Looking for a way to proc that ultimate.
The answer is now, Fluxo, do you have enough scaling? Do you have the damage on the carries? Do you have the team fight clutch factor? It's a decent Gnar ultimate, but Grevdar is in onto the front line. Fluxo retreating back to their fountain as Grell is hounding them back to the very base. Only How's trying to control these towers. Brunsey still healthy enough, but one tower falls. The super minions are streaming in. How's is being pushed outside from the base. It's a nice stun, but the TP is there as Trigo goes legendary, and VKS will be one game away from moving on in the playoffs.
Blow for blow, punch for punch, these teams trade.